Around 10 p.m. on May 31, 2009. Rio de Janeiro Garong International Airport, Brazil. Return flight 47 is all ready. About to take off to Paris. The brand new Airbus A330 has only been in service for 4 years. Captain Marc Dubois is in charge. This is a long-distance transoceanic route. Adequate unit configuration. Except for the captain. 2 co-pilots were arranged. David Robert and Pierre Kedrick Bernan. Captain Marc Dubois. Accumulated 11,000 flight hours. Co-pilot David Robert flew for 6,500 hours. The junior co-pilot with the shallowest magnetism, Pierre Kedrick Bernan. Total flight time 2,900 hours. There were 228 people on board the plane, covering personnel from 33 countries. There were 216 passengers, 12 crew members. The vast majority of tourists are from France and Brazil, German people. No one expected. This flight will be a devastating disaster. Become a household name around the world for many years. Aviation Unsolved Mysteries. 10:29 p.m. Flight number 44-7 lifted off successfully from the Huashang runway. Fly towards Paris. Take off surprisingly. Everything is smooth. The plane climbed steadily to its intended cruising altitude. 35,000 feet. After flying for a while, according to the shift schedule, senior co-pilot David Robert. Go to the crew lounge. Take a short break. Cockpit. Only Captain Mac Dubois and the junior co-pilot remain. Pierre Cedric Beau and 2 men. The next 2 hours. Flights flew over Lexi one after another. Main airspace such as Fernatal. Heading towards the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. The entire process is controlled by the onboard automation system. Flight flow. Push forward smoothly according to the standard route. But over time, the plane is entering a whole area. Senior. Dangerous airspace where pilots are particularly vigilant. The tropical complex over the Atlantic Ocean is referred to as ITCC. This area is located near the equator. The northern and southern hemispheres meet violently here. It's incredibly easy to form, incredibly destructive on a global scale. Severe thunderstorms. On the airliner. About to reach this dangerous convection area. In the order of scheduling. It was Captain Marc Dubois's turn to rest. This co-pilot David Robert returns to the cockpit. Before the handover, the captain specially reminded the 2 co-pilots. A large area of walls and pools is about to appear ahead. The 2 must be on high alert throughout the process. After the explanation is completed, the captain hands over flight control to the 2 co-pilots. Leave the cockpit and head to the lounge to rest. There was nothing unusual about the initial flight status, but it didn't take long. The 2 pilots clearly noticed. The external meteorological environment is deteriorating rapidly. They have passed through this airspace many times before. Conventional thunderstorms have long been accustomed to. But the weather conditions that night were particularly abnormal. In an instant, the whole plane was covered by thick black rain clouds. Thoroughly wrapped. Lightning continued to pierce the clouds in the distance. The picture of the cockpit weather radar is changing rapidly. The screen color changes from green to yellow. Finally become crimson for extreme weather. Issue a high-risk warning. Disaster ensues. A series of malfunction alarms went off one after another. Electrostatic flash appears outside the salty window of the fuselage. The blaring alarm in the cockpit. The autopilot system suddenly disconnects automatically. Previously, the whole process relied on airborne computer-powered airliner. Fully hand-operated by 2 co-pilots. The 2 pilots couldn't make sense of the emergency at all. Check all kinds of meters and control equipment repeatedly. Airplane. Completely not following the operation instructions to give feedback. In just a few minutes, the airliner hurried at nearly 10,000 feet per minute. Fall down quickly. It all happened within a short time of the captain leaving the cockpit. In 3 or 4 minutes. In the lounge. Captain Marc Dib? soon realized that the situation was serious. Hurry back to the cockpit immediately. But now the situation is completely irreversible. All kinds of fault alarms continue to roar. Automatic thrust system failure. 3 pilots are doing their best to sort out the situation. But the trouble goes beyond that. The airliner was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Has long since flown out of Brazilian radar coverage. It has not yet arrived at the Senegalese radar monitor. Airspace measurement is equivalent to being in the radar signal blind spot. Ground control is completely unable to capture the position of the aircraft. In addition to that, satellite automatic position reporting system for flights login failure occurred in advance. The real-time positioning function is completely disabled. Ground controllers have no idea exact coordinates of the airliner. The pilot in the cockpit is in a desperate situation. Passengers in the cabin. I also really feel the deadly danger. The violent turbulence made the whole plane tremble non-stop. Everyone woke up from sleep. Passengers crawled into the armrests. The fear grows with every second it falls. About 3 hours and 15 minutes after takeoff, 2:14 in the morning, this corgi over the Atlantic Ocean between Brazil and Africa completely disappeared from the sky. All sounds in the cockpit stop abruptly. All that's left of the sea is death and fear. 2 hours after the plane went missing, Senegalese air traffic control staff repeated attempts to call Flight 447. There was silence inside the radio. It's out. The staff only judged that it was an ordinary equipment failure. You can contact the surrounding routes and flights. Air France headquarters found nothing. Everyone's heart instantly hung. Officials immediately issued an international search and rescue alert. The news quickly spread throughout France, Brazil, and globally. Everyone has questions. An Airbus A330 that is considered a safety benchmark. It carried 228 lives. Why not? The sign disappeared over the Atlantic Ocean. It was an explosion in the air and a hijacking. Over this remote ocean. Encountered an unimaginable accident. After the flight went missing, French Air Accident Investigation Agency DEA, United Brazilian Navy, immediately launch a large-scale transoceanic search and rescue operation. Brazil urgently dispatched Air Force fighter jets and naval vessels, heading to the Atlantic Ocean. France also dispatched reconnaissance aircraft and modern ships are engaged in the search. But the biggest challenge in search and rescue is the area of the incident is extremely vast. The whole area is deserted. The water depth in many waters exceeds 4 kilometers. Aircraft warplanes circled non-stop in search. Carpet survey of sea surface vessels. But there was no sign of Flight 447. Time goes by minute. The hope of 228 people surviving continues to fade. The search and rescue team was never able to determine the plane disintegrated in midair or sink into the deep sea. At the same time, all kinds of speculation are emerging around the world. The first major trend is snapping your fingers at severe weather. Many people believe that the plane was struck by a giant lightning strike, or super strong swallowing current directly damaged. But aviation professionals disagree. Airbus A330 here, modern civil airliner. It is to resist extreme thunderstorm weather, standard design and manufacturing. There are also experts focusing on the fault code that was automatically returned before the flight went missing. Code display airborne circuit. Multiple malfunctions on the onboard computer. Outside speculation. A severe electrical short circuit occurs inside the aircraft. The equipment failed completely. The unit didn't have time to deal with it at all. Also relevant is the belief that the plane was hit by a severe hailstorm, or cabin depressurization. Many people disappeared out of thin air due to the plane. Breeding hijacking. Vicious attack and other speculation. But initial investigations did not find any relevant evidence. All kinds of bizarre rumors in online forums. The news media keeps fermenting. There's even a Bermuda anomaly. secret military test, man-made vandalism. Aliens such as airplanes are baseless. Myth. But no one knew the truth then. The complete secret of the Flight 447 crash, buried thousands of meters beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Just when all kinds of guesses are flying. The French and Pakistani investigation teams have never stopped the search and rescue. The effort soon ushered in progress. 10.4 days, rescuers found a large area of floating water in the sea. And fragments of plane wreckage. First confirmed. Flight 447 has crashed into the deep Atlantic Ocean. June 6. Search and rescue teams recover the first bodies of the victims. 4 days, but the vertical tail of the aircraft with the clear Air France logo. Completely salvaged out of water. Throughout June, search and rescue operations continue uninterrupted. More than 600 pieces of aircraft wreckage were recovered. The remains of 50 victims. It contains the remains of Captain Mac Dubois. After the bodies of the victims were returned to their home countries, the family is devastated. Families are overwhelmed by the enormity of the loss of their loved ones. In sorrow, staff complete the examination of the wreckage and remains. Investigators have a crucial lead. The plane didn't break up in midair. The fuselage remains largely intact, slamming into the sea at extremely high speed. This clue only explains the pattern of the plane crash, but unable to answer the root cause of the crash. The only thing that can restore the whole process of the incident, only the flight recorder. The black box. The black box can be carried thousands of meters deep in the sea. The search has come to a standstill. After 2 long years of waiting. After countless search failures. April 3, 2011. The investigation team ushered in a major breakthrough. Underwater robot diving. To a depth of 3,900 meters below the sea surface, locate the wreckage area of the main body of Flight 447. Aircraft engine. Landing gear. Large components such as fuselage sections are scattered on the seabed. The heart of the greatest mystery in aviation history. The certificate was finally found. This was followed by extremely difficult underwater salvage operations. The staff successfully took the plane to the sea, salvaged ashore together with 2 black boxes. The deep sea is darker than the sky. Extremely cold seawater. 2 years of deep sea immersion. The bodies of many victims still remain. Salvage scene let. All the staff were shocked inside. A total of 104 bodies were recovered in the salvage. The remaining 74 people will sleep forever in the deep sea, can never be found again. Even if stored in the deep sea for 2 years. Flight data recorder. And the cockpit voice recorder is still intact. Immediately sent to Paris for analysis. After aviation experts decrypt all the data. Inside page. The thrilling final 4 minutes and 23 seconds over the Atlantic Ocean. The complete truth emerges. The conclusion completely shook the global civil aviation industry. Before reaching the danger zone of the tropical complex, all flight systems are operating normally. But as soon as the plane approached a strong hail thunderstorm cloud, chain disaster is triggered. Just a few minutes. Completely rewrite everyone's destiny. Lightning and thunder outside the window. Small, hard ice crystals continue to hit the fuselage at high speed. Seemingly inconspicuous ice crystals. It was the trigger for the whole plane crash. Then the French Air Accident Investigation Agency BIA published the final investigation report. Clear. This disaster was not caused by a single pilot error. The investigation confirmed that the same broken leather tube equipped with the Airbus A330. Multiple occurrences. Icing blockage fault. Airbus manufacturers have long been aware of the flaw. Suggested flight. The company replaced a new sensor that is more resistant to icing. But the return flight is to save costs and reduce production downtime. Take a chance. Failure to fully replace the fleet immediately. Old sensor. Flight 447 is still equipped with malfunction risk equipment. Perform transoceanic flights. Air France's omissions go beyond equipment maintenance investigations. It also exposed the huge shortcomings in pilot training. The company never arranged for simulator special project training. Simulated high-altitude autopilot failure. Stall after failure of thunderstorm weather speed measuring equipment. The company is over-reliant on onboard computers. The default automation system never malfunctions. This blind confidence. Imperfect training system. Let the young co-pilot be in sudden danger. Completely broken. Fatal operations in succession. After the truth is revealed, the families of the victims were overcome with grief and indignation. The case has officially entered the French judicial process. More than 14 years of litigation began. April 2023. The first instance verdict surprised everyone. The court ruled that Airbus and Air France were not responsible. Acquitted in court. This judgment completely shattered the family's years of hope for justice. The families of countless victims are in despair. Prosecutors immediately appealed. Until around the 17th anniversary of the plane crash. May 2026. Paris Court of Appeal issues historic final judgment. Ruling Airbus law. 2 companies constitute the crime of causing death by corporate negligence. The court acknowledges the dedication of the victims' families to protect their rights for many years. $260,000 fines for both businesses. The family thinks the fine is insignificant. Compare the daily revenue of the 2 companies. The operating profit is equivalent to only a few short minutes. Can't make up for the pain of losing a life. But from the perspective of legal and industrial fertility, this guilty verdict. It's a hard-won victory for all the families of the victims. After the plane crash, global civil aviation industry completes comprehensive safety reform. Airbus aircraft. Replace with a new generation with stronger anti-icing performance. Pitot tube. Intensive special project training for pilots. Focus on practicing high altitude out of control. Deep stall emergency correction. Revise the full set of operating specifications. Make it clear that after the automation system fails. Standard disposal process. The tragedy of Air France Flight 447. Always alert everyone. Any minor oversight in the field of civil aviation could lead to an irreversible and deadly disaster. One broke down that night. Crew training with imperfect sensors. A series of errors in the cockpit. Create a lethal chain reaction. Just a few minutes. 228 live lives. Forever dissipated over the Atlantic Ocean.